All right, ladies and gentlemen, you already know it's a Men of Order tradition, and I got next tradition. We come at you early, giving you some of these like first glances at these plays that we see, some of these games that really stand out to us early in the week before a lot of the other news starts to happen and before you really have a lot of time to really digest these things. We like to give you our first blush at what we think of some of these NFL games. And this week we got a handful of them for you so we can and we're going to keep track of our records because that's just what we do. We're competitive out here. AG likes to talk shit. He thinks he's better than me. I'm here to prove him wrong. And here we go. Let's get into it.
Well, you are doing better than me so far on these early pick shows.
You don't say. You don't say. Oh.
Something tells me Chad knew the score already when he was making those comments. Chad is coming in at 2-3. I'm coming in at 1-3. We just started these early pick shows 3 weeks ago. That is the official scoreboard coming into this week. We got
can't really talk too much shit, man.
Yeah, you picked one more game than me and you got it right. But that's essentially what it's coming down to so far. But we got 4 games on the board that we're going to talk about right now. Chad's got a couple sides. I got a couple sides. Let's get right into it. Chad teased you guys a little bit in our last episode with this Ravens at Bucks Thursday night game. And we'll be back Thursday night also, or Thursday afternoon, I should say. So you have time to get the bets in before the night. But Thursday afternoon, we'll be back with John Ryan, me, Chad, and we'll be talking Thursday night football way more in depth. But Chad has an angle that he wants to take early right here before this line potentially moves at all. So we're going to get into that. But I just want to make sure everybody knows, go ahead and subscribe while you're here right now and hit that bell notification so you know when we're going live with our next episode, because Thursday we will have a 30-year professional sports gambling expert on the show to talk about this exact matchup right here. Ravens -1.5 going into Tampa Bay, over under 44.5. Tampa Bay's offense looks terrible. Their defense looks all right. You know, obviously they ended up getting gashed because their offense couldn't do anything. So they ended up allowing 21 points. But something tells me if their offense could convert a third down or two, they Panthers probably don't put up those points. The Ravens have looked really good at times on offense, really not so good at times on offense. Their defense is still their defense. They're going to allow a couple big plays, but they're going to lock up for most of the game. So what's your take on this? I think you're leaning over, right? That's your pick?
I'm not just leaning over. I'm damn near guaranteeing over. As I've thought about this a little bit more, just like glancing at it at first. All right, so Tampa Bay looks disgusting. They put up 3 points against a Carolina team that I guess this is this is a lesson for all of us that when something happens like this, they get rid of Robbie Anderson. They trade away Christian McCaffrey. Like Robbie Anderson was they were trying to get rid of a cancer because you could see some of the stuff, the body language on the sidelines, the arguments, the shouting matches on the sidelines. They needed to part ways with him. He needed a change of scenery. Christian McCaffrey, I think this was just one of those things where they looked at it and said, look, we've got to get some value. We've got to stack draft picks. And so we're going to shop our most marketable commodity. He's one of the best running backs in the league. Let's see what we can get for him because our project of rebuilding this franchise is going to take longer than his window of his career, right. his career, but at least his window of like really, high level prime Christian McCaffrey. Okay. So you think, well, shit, Tampa Bay's going to just roll through these people. Well, I don't know. Maybe that lit a fire under the rest of the roster to say like, look, this ownership doesn't give a shit about us. They're getting rid of people. Like we got to play for our own jobs at this point. We don't know if we're going to be on the street or get traded somewhere else. I just bought a new house or whatever
fire sale. You better come ready to play.
That's right. You better come ready to play if they're fire sailing. And so that's kind of the glass tabletop with a marble sort of way that some of these explosive situations can like manifest themselves. Either the team completely collapses and they become a dumpster fire, or it lights a fire under the remaining talent on the roster and you actually get to see some of them live up to their potential. That being said, I think Tampa Bay probably went into this thing with as much frustration as they had a couple of weeks ago, thinking like, all right, they're just kind of fire sailing their whole team. Let's go in here. Let's take care of business. And then let's move on because we got this big game coming up with Baltimore in a couple of weeks. And they didn't know they were going into a fist fight. And they got punched in the mouth early and often. And it was just like, well, how long did it take for somebody to score in that game?
Oh,
It
right
took
before
forever,
halftime.
damn near.
Yeah, it was zeros
It was
for
like
a
right
while
before
there.
halftime.
But that's what I
Yeah,
meant. If the
so
offense could get anything, then the
it might have been a different
defense probably
story.
doesn't allow that many points. But that's why
Right.
I'm surprised they're calling the over outright right now off rip, because their defense is usually pretty solid. I mean, they did hold a scoreless game until the end of the half, like we just said. And the Bucks offense can only put up 3 points against this Panthers defense, who isn't bad, but I mean, it's Tom Brady, it's Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You got weapons. You got Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
Why are you only putting up 3 points against this Panthers team who is clearly spiraling out of control before Sunday? But you think that essentially that could be the play, that could be the trap by the book. Everyone's thinking under because the Bucks and the Ravens good defense, Bucks good defense, Bucks can't score, Ravens sometimes can't score, and that's why this game goes over because that's the obvious play.
Everybody just forgets that the Ravens have an explosive offense,
and so do
the
the
Buccaneers
Bucks.
have an explosive offense, and that they're both capable of putting up, 30, 40 points easily in this game. And so I'm actually, what I might actually do is I might tease this thing up towards something in the low 50s and see if I can get like some really good plus money. But the other thing I was going to say, if I'm picking a side at all, I like the Bucks actually to get right and take that plus 1.5. I might tease that up as well and kind of pay for it. But what I might do is maybe try to parlay that where I have a 50 plus over and then have Bucks plus 3.5 or Bucks plus 4.5 or something like that.
But your
my official play is the over in this game. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Over.
Anything else on it, or?
No, I mean I like Leonard Fournette to get going again. I mean I think he's due. He had an okay game. He didn't have a great game against Kansas City, and then he had an okay game a couple of weeks ago. But then this week it was just the whole team played. I have to look at his numbers to see where he was. Yeah, 8 for 19. Okay, you think we're gonna keep going in that direction? And what did he have?
Well, they have all year, really.
Yards.
I mean, he's
2 catches for 7 yards.
His only production has been in the pass game, so I was surprised he didn't get anything there against the Panthers in the pass game too. But he's had 0 production this year. I don't know if the Ravens defense is the one to take him on, but we'll talk more about that Thursday.
The over can also hit on some sack, fumble, scoop and score, pick six type.
Yeah, no, I was just saying because you mentioned Leonard Fournette, but
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, my official play is the over, and I don't really have much other than I like the Bucks in this game because I think, and the reason I like the over is because I think if you're coming into this game and you're the Bucks, you have got to get your offense going. You know that you can't keep playing in these like low scoring games. You saw what happened when they played Kansas City a couple of weeks ago. They were in a shootout, and they were really just trying to stay within range to where they could try to make a run by getting a turnover late or something like that, and it never really materialized. They know that they've got to put points up earlier, and they've got to consistently be able to move the ball and score. And I think Baltimore, that's exacerbated by the fact that you've got to hang points on the board against a Baltimore offense that can be explosive too, and you can't just dick around and wait until halftime to try to get a couple of field goals. So
that is the Thursday night primetime matchup. So we'll talk a lot more about that when we do our special on that show on Thursday.
That's the other reason why I like the over is because it's the anti-Thursday night football over.
Yeah, definitely. So Chad's pick there for the purposes of this show and the record we're keeping for this show is the over 44.5. No matter where it moves, we're locking Chad in at 44.5 right now.
There you go.
Let's get into this game because we disagree on this one. I am taking the Pats.
Wait, did you take a side on the other game, or you're not?
I did not.
Okay, all right.
So
you got another one. You got another one
early there, but I got the Pats minus 2.5. The over-under's 41.5. I'm taking the Pats here. I don't care if Mac Jones gets hurt again today and we have to do Bailey Zapp because we're recording this before the Patriots game tonight. I think this line will move a little bit depending on whether they win or lose tonight. So we'll have to see about that. But I'm going to take them at winning by a field goal right now while I can because I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen tonight yet, obviously. The Jets, man, they are the most fraudulent 5-2 team I might have ever seen in my life. They've done nothing but beat up on 4 backup quarterbacks. Well, actually, I should say 3 backup quarterbacks and 1 third-string rookie 7th-round pick making his first start in the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers, who Packers offense and Aaron Rodgers look like absolute dog shit the past 3 weeks, especially. They're in the middle of a 3-game losing streak, so it's not like we can say, "Oh, well, the Jets beat the Packers." Okay, and
so did everybody else.
Yeah, like what are we really talking about?
So did
here?
Taylor Heineke and the
exactly. So that's what I'm
Washington
getting at, right? That's what I'm getting at. The Jets, they are exciting. I like them. I like their future. I like their young talent that they have. It's not there yet. It's not there. They're 5-2. They might sneak into the playoffs the way the season's looking if they can keep pulling off some wins here, and if they keep getting backup quarterback matchups. I mean, what's up with that? Now,
and not for nothing, Breece Hall being out for the year is a huge blow.
That hurts for the Jets. Yeah. So I'm gonna take the Patriots because I like them at a field goal right here. I don't know if I'm gonna like them at whatever the line is after the game tonight. So I'm gonna lock them in right now before that potentially moves. Chad, you're on the Jets though on this one.
Not so fast, my friend. Yes, that's right. I am on the Jets plus the 2.5. I like them to cover this number. I like them to potentially win this one outright. I think it's going to be a really close game. And I don't know. I get the hatred for Zach Wilson, but I'm not that much of a hater. I can see the potential that some coaches and some scouts see in him, and I think there's some plays to be made there. The Breece Hall injury definitely hurts. It's a huge blow, but we're going to see what they can do to kind of back that up. I like them, man. There's a whole crowd of people here, but I like them. I like them to come through and get this victory at home. And it's an in-division game. You know how we've talked about this before. In-division games, it's a completely different setup from what we see with the
games just seem to
conference and cross-division games.
They just seem to always be closer, and that's part of the reason why. Since I do like the Patriots, I'm going to take them while I can get them under a field goal. Yeah. They very well might win by a field goal. Now, if they go out and dominate the Bears tonight, that number might shoot up. That number might be up at 4.5, 3.5, where I don't like it as much. So that's why I'm taking it. I think that Breece Hall is going to hurt the Jets. The Breece Hall injury is going to hurt the Jets a little bit. Michael Carter is obviously a serviceable starting back, though, so it's not going to kill him. But I mean, they're an exciting team, man. They play hard. They really do. But so are the Patriots. The Patriots play hard also. Yep. The talent isn't there for all these guys. They have a coaching advantage of Belichick, obviously. I'm going to go Pats here in this divisional game. Belichick always seems to have the Jets number no matter what the matchup or quarterback or any of that type of stuff is. And a solid pass defense by the Pats, not like top of the pack by any means, but they're decent. And Zach Wilson doesn't impress me too much. So I'm not a Zach Wilson hater, but I'm just saying when I take all his bets and unders and whatnot, they hit. So it's like going to the watering hole, man.
Shout out to you for the under half a touchdown yesterday, because that one hit too.
Plus 165. Come on, give me that any day of the week against the Broncos defense with Zach Wilson.
But yeah, so I'm with you. I will say this though, on the coaching thing, I don't know at this point in Belichick's career and without Tom Brady, what we're starting to see is that for all of the credit that Belichick deserves for the juggernaut that he built there, a lot of that juggernaut wore number 12.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? So
I agree.
So I wonder, at this point in his career and with the roster that he has, if there's really that much of this massive coaching advantage where you just know it doesn't matter, they're going to find a way to get it done. No, if they can find a way to get it done all the time, they wouldn't be looking like they've looked the last 2 years. So.
I hear you. So for argument's sake, I'll reword it. I'll say they have the more experienced coach.
There you go.
Who's been through these things before. He's seen fraudulent 5-2 teams before. And I'm sure he took care of business against them. But he did have Tom Brady to help him with that. I'll give you that. Mac Jones is no Tom Brady. But neither is Zach Wilson. And if I got to choose, I'm going with Mac on that one. All right, I think we've exhausted this game as much as we need to. We might talk about it later in the week if things get exciting, but I got the Pats minus 2.5. Chad's got the Jets plus 2.5. No matter where this line moves, we are locked in on that. Let's get to this next one. Shout out Raider Nation. Raiders minus 1.5 at New Orleans, over under 47.5. I'm taking the Raiders at this number right here. I like the Raiders to win. I don't think it'll be even that close, but I'll take them at 1.5 in case it moves up. I'll take it. Why not? It's in New Orleans. I get that. But I don't trust Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston, whoever's at quarterback, to not throw the game away. I trust Derek Carr a little bit more to not do that. And the Raiders have been turning it up a little bit lately. They're playing a lot better than they were before. Josh Jacobs is absolutely going off the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like it's insane what we're seeing from Josh Jacobs the past 3 weeks, which means that offensive line is getting going. The Saints coming off a Thursday night primetime letdown game where they were up 14-6, and then the game just got away from them because Andy Dalton wanted to give the ball to the Cardinals left and right, which is my exact point there. The Cardinals don't impress me at all, and they lost that game. So naturally, I got to lean Raiders here. I'm going to take Raiders 1.5. What you got, Chad?
I feel you, and I like the Raiders a lot. And so before look, I see he's already mad. I see him like he's up there. Wasted talent is just like he's scowling at me already. I see you, Wasted. I see you. All right, before I say what I'm about to say about this Saints-Raiders game, let me just remind everybody that I picked the Raiders to blow out the Texans this past week. So I'm just calling it like I see it. Okay. So I like the Saints plus the 1.5 here. Playing at home in the Superdome, it's a different team when they play there. You saw what they did with Seattle. I know this Raiders team has the talent on the roster where they should be better than Seattle. But let's face it, look, the way that Seattle's been playing this year, Seattle's been the better team so far this year, and they showed it again yesterday. They blew the doors off of a Chargers team that I think a lot of people were expecting. And that was in Los Angeles. I almost said San Diego again. It was in Los Angeles, and so I look at this game and I'm thinking more in terms of how in control of that game the Saints are until Andy Dalton throws not just a pick in the end zone that cost them either a touchdown or at least a field goal, but then 2 pick sixes, and they still kept that game within 1 score late. And the Raiders beat a very, very undermanned Texans team this week, and otherwise they have really struggled, with the lone exception being that really bitter rivalry with Kansas City where they almost pulled off the upset and got that one going a few weeks ago before their bye week. They're coming off their bye and they come out and get healthy, play really well against the Texans. But if the Saints can keep from turning the ball over so much, the way that they play on that turf in the dome, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, it's going to be interesting to see. Some of this may change depending on what we see later on in the week. Is Olave still healthy? No post concussion symptoms. He played this week and had a pretty good game against Arizona, coming off that concussion from the week before in that Seattle game. And then, is Michael Thomas, is Jarvis Landry, are those guys going to be back?
Yeah, there's a lot of variables we don't
exactly
know, being that we're doing this show Monday.
Right.
I do agree.
So as we see those things come out, I'm kind of counting on a few of those guys to be healthy and to provide some explosiveness for this Saints offense. And Taysom Hill is kind of
go ahead.
Taysom Hill is kind of one of these, like, if he had a bad week, you bet on him to get the anytime touchdown and maybe get some rushing yards or something like that the next week. If he had a really good week the week before, don't bet on him the next week because he generally doesn't back him up back to back. And we saw that
get the opportunities too.
He didn't get the opportunities. He got a handful of opportunities against Seattle, and he broke off a 60-yarder for a touchdown. He got a handful of opportunities against Arizona, didn't do that. So it's that kind of situation. But yeah, so that's my pick. My pick is Saints plus 1.5, and I know we'll see. Let it ride.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, to your point about some of those guys maybe being cleared as active to play throughout the week. That might even flip this line. It's already pretty much pick. So yeah, that could flip the line where now the Saints are favored. So you're getting a point right now. So you're taking it now. That could end up biting me in the ass now that I think about it, ever since you mentioned it, since I'm taking the Raiders right now, and I could maybe get them as a dog by 2 points or something later in the week. But I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to go Raiders minus 1.5. But you did just scare me a little bit with that, because now if those guys do get ruled as starters and active and healthy and everything, this line could flip a little bit, in which case I still think the Raiders win anyway. So it's not like I'm saying that my pick would be wrong in that case, but I just wouldn't be getting the value of having a chance of losing but still winning the bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously. But yeah, so we're locked in at -1.5, no matter where that line moves, since we're talking about the line moving so much.
So just to update, so Dennis Allen will not name a starting quarterback yet for week 8.
There you go.
So you got that.
But to me, that doesn't matter for my pick.
You might see Jameis Winston. Yeah. I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's one of those situations where you may not see a material difference over the course of the season, but in a spot moment like that where Jameis Winston becomes the starter again and Andy Dalton goes back to the bench, you could see something different spark fly.
That's true. Yeah.
So
yeah, I just think I think at the end of the day, no matter who's ruled in or who's starting on the Saints offense, I think their Saints defense won't know what to do with Josh Jacobs, and especially the way he's coming on the past 3 weeks. It's not like the Raiders are going to get away from that. They see how well that's working. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns yesterday, 140, 150. He's had like 150 the last 3 weeks. And the Saints, they don't match up well against that. They're 23rd in rushing yards per game, 123 allowed per game, and 21st in yards per carry allowed at 4.6. Not that that makes all the difference every time, but I'm just throwing that out there. So, yeah, I'm sticking with the Raiders -1.5. Chad's got the Saints +1.5. We're locking those in right now.
Let's go.
And the last game on the board for us tonight, this is a pick I have. I don't know if Chad's calling anything here, but Titans -1.5 going into Houston, over under 40.5. Now, like we always talk about these division games, they're a lot closer than you expect when you just look at the teams on paper. But I'll take 2 points for the Titans any day of the week against this Texans team. That's pretty much all I got on that. Like, I mean, so the Titans, they have a horrible pass defense, but I'm not worried about Davis Mills against that, right? What I would be worried about for the Texans would be Dameon Pierce and that run game. But the Titans match up well for that. They're 4th in the league right now in rushing defense. So
what do you think of this over under like 40.5? It's just
I think that hits too. That's probably not a bad bet. It's probably not a bad bet. You thinking about taking that for this game?
Taking the over or taking
over.
No, I'm not locking anything in for this one. I'm just looking at it like
early look. That looks good to me because the Texans, they've been putting up points. They've been keeping games close and stuff. We saw it against the Chargers. We saw it last week against the Raiders. And the Titans.
Then I go back to a couple of weeks ago where there was like 6-3 or something like that. Or 13.
The Jacksonville game,
the Jacksonville game was like 13.
But they won that game 13-6.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm going to take the Titans, man. I don't have much more analysis to go with it, but I'm taking the Titans 1.5. I think this line might move a little bit away from the Texans here. Might be looking at over a field goal later in the week, depending on where the money goes and things like that. But I don't think a lot of people are going to go into this and start betting the Texans. So I think it might get a little lopsided to the point where they move the line a little bit. So
for what it's worth, not to mention that I'm still ahead by a game in the standings in this particular construct we have built. I'm not even going to mention that. I'm not going to mention the fact that I'm a game ahead of the standings. I won't mention it.
Except for the last 4 times in the last 10 seconds that you mentioned it.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
What I will point out though is that perhaps I have misunderstood what we're trying to do here. Like what I'm looking for like the stuff that's like, whoa, what the hell's up with this line? And then let me pick a side on it based on what I feel from that surprise that I get. Because what I do is
You're more than welcome to attack it from whatever angle you'd like.
If I ever do fall behind in the standings, I may reevaluate that. But so far, it's working out pretty well. So what I do first is I go to NFL.com and I just look with no lines. I just look at the games and then I try to guess what I think the line should be. And then I take that and then I go over and I actually look at what the lines are, the kind of the prevailing line. And then I see like what's off. So the ones that jumped out at me were that Tampa Bay. So I had Tampa Bay -3 as my guess for what the line should be because they're playing at home. And I just thought like they're going to, because we've seen some of these where like somebody plays like a dog the week before and it doesn't matter. They're still favored. We saw that with Jacksonville and the Giants where we were like, why is Jacksonville favored by 3 in this game? This doesn't make any sense. That sort of thing. Right. So sure enough, the line is Baltimore -1.5. So I'm like, all right, I'm taking the Bucks on this one because it something's not right because that kind of mirrors that Giants Jacksonville game.
Wait a second, hold on. I just realized something here. Go ahead, continue. But I think I
Yeah.
messed up these rankings.
Oh shit!
I think I gave you that Giants as a W when I had the Giants +3. Hold on one second. Not so fast.
Okay,
Continue
well,
though, real quick.
yeah.
But let me make sure, double check here.
So as I continue to meander through this thing, the next one on the list that's messed up is the New Orleans Las Vegas game, and I had the Saints as like a pick'em / 1 point favorite when I just first glanced at it, and then the line comes out. Well, who is it? Las Vegas -2. So that, the Raiders being the favorite in that game kind of surprised me a little bit. Not because I think they shouldn't be, but because I just didn't think that's the way Vegas would land on it. And then the next one was the Jets. I had them at -2.5, and the line comes out because they're playing at home. The line comes out as New England -1.5. So everything else is pretty straight. The next one that's kind of messed up, and the only remaining one on the schedule that's flipped from what I would have guessed. I would have guessed the Rams would have been 2.5 point favorites at home. They're actually 2 point dogs at home. And I think we are just about to find out that I'm behind in the standings. So I shouldn't have mentioned it so many times.
Yeah, dude, you
good
made
thing
me
I
think
didn't
about
mention it.
No, it's the fact that you brought up the Jags
Giants,
and
the
Giants
flip.
just now, because you talked about how the Jags were -3 and obviously they lost, and I'm like, wait a second, that was your pick. What I did was I gave myself an L for taking the Giants +3, and I gave you the W for Jags -3. I completely flipped that by accident when I was doing it.
I'm 1-4 and you're 2-2.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
God.
So,
All right, so my point stands that what I have been doing is I've been trying to figure out where we're getting okey doked on these lines.
Look, now it's an excuse. Before it was a strategy, now it's an excuse.
Well, all right.
You
So
see how quick that changed, guys?
Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna say though, is that this week I actually took the opposite tack, where like this week I took the tack of like, okay, what I should have done is I should have seen that line being BS with the Jacksonville game, and I should have just taken the points and the Giants. And so that's why I'm taking the points and the Bucks at home. And then I'm going to take the points in New Orleans at home in that one. Because in every case, when I look at the line, I'm like, or when I look at the game and I guess at what a line is, and then Vegas says something completely the opposite of that, the one that my gut told me to should have been the favorite ends up being the team that wins the game. So instead of me thinking, they're trying to outsmart us, so Jacksonville's gonna win this game by 10. Like, no, they're not. You were right. Your gut reaction was right.
I did flip Sunday. You know what I mean? On the Sunday show, I did say.
That's probably why you gave yourself the L on that one.
Yeah, because I was thinking that exactly.
Chad,
but I knew we were on opposite sides. Yeah, exactly.
Chad must have picked New York, and I must have picked Jacksonville.
Yeah. I just flipped it by accident when I was doing the numbers there.
But yeah, so that's the strategy there. So that's how I'm playing it now.
So there's no confusion. I'm going to put this at the end so I can just quickly go through who everybody picked at the end of the show. So we have you picking over 44.5 for this game. I'm on the Pats -2.5. You're on Jets -2.5. I'm on Raiders -1.5.
Jets +2.5.
That's what. Yeah. You're on Jets +2.5. I'm on Pats -2.5.
Right.
You know what I meant. The graphics right there. Whatever.
Well, I know. I'm just making sure.
I got you because I already butchered one. So
no, I'm not taking a 5-point hit on this.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, you're locked in at -2.5. Good luck. Then we got the Raiders -1.5. Chad's taking the Saints +1.5. And I'm going with the Titans -1.5 here in this game also. That's what we are locked in on for the purposes of this show. And we'll be back next week to show you the results and pick games for week 9. But other than that, we'll be back with more in-depth analysis. I know we kind of bullshit on this show and just give our thoughts. These are our early thoughts for a reason. We're going to dive deeper into these games and player props and other props to take and what sides really we should be looking at later in the week, especially when the lines are a little bit different anyway. And we'll be doing that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, obviously.
Yeah, so we're just bullshitting, but you got stats and shit on your little tablet next to you that you're cheating off of. I see you working over there. I haven't even completed my model yet for this week, so I see you. But don't worry, in a couple of days I'll have you.
Listen, you're more than welcome to do whatever you need to do to make these picks. All right, I am simply using my resources.
Fair enough. All right.
All right, everybody, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share with your friends, and we'll see you guys Thursday. Peace.